live at the Bone Garden film set, and with me here is Officer Craig Sperry and his canine partner Hilo. Now I know that you kids have all heard about the dogs that smell for bombs and help fight terrorism. Well, have you ever wondered exactly how that works? Well, here's an opportunity for you to find out. Officer Sperry, let's put this puppy to work. Now, Officer Sperry went through this parking area earlier today, and he's planted a bait scent for Hilo to find. What he'll do is he'll take Hilo from car to car, and Hilo will be instructed to smell around the bottom of the car and around the doors to try to find the bait scent. Now, we know where it is, but Hilo doesn't. And as he takes him from car to car, we'll watch for Hilo to signal that he's found it. If Hilo finds the scent, what he will do is he will sit down, and that will let his handler know that he smelled something that doesn't belong there. It's in the yellow car. Now watch closely as he works his way around this parking area, because the bait scent is in the yellow car.
Oh, yeah, buddy! Woo!
Good boy!
Oh, good job.
And as you can see, Hilo's reward for doing this good deed is to have fun. Now that's not too bad of a job, is it? But we're going to sit down here in a little bit, and we're going to talk to Officer Sperry a little bit about how police dogs are trained, and generally what it's like to work with a bomb-sniffing canine partner. So we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so we're sitting down here to talk with Officer Sperry and talk a little bit about the demo that we just did with Hilo. Now, we've already explained that you had sort of stashed the bait for Hilo to do this demonstration. Now, what exactly did Hilo find?
Hilo found an explosive. It's C4. It's a commonly used explosive in commercial and terrorism nowadays. So we train on things that they would find in a terrorist environment, whether it's mass transit, schools, games. We go in, we search, and that's what he looks for.
Okay, now, how long did it take for him to learn, for Hilo to learn how to do that?
He started when he was 9 months old, searching for explosives, and it took about a year of training to get him to where he could certify. So, a year of training, 8 hours a day, of nothing but finding explosive odors.
And now, when you train them now, how do they know they've done the right thing?
They know they've done the right thing after repetition, repetition, repetition. It's all about engraving it into their muscle memory almost, to where as soon as they find it, we actually tell them to sit for the first couple thousand times they actually find explosives. To where they are so used to sitting by you telling them, they actually do it on their own without even realizing. And so after a while, the repetition just starts to pay off, and then you walk your dog and they find it, and that's how it works.
Okay, that's awesome. So, yeah, so it's a time-consuming process, but relatively simple for the dogs to pick up then.
Relatively simple in a way. There's so many different odors that they could come in contact with. You could have a lunch bag sitting out full of food. Well, you got to make sure the dog doesn't respond on somebody's bologna sandwich.
So it doesn't get distracted by the things you don't want in the
So you're not just training on the 38 different explosive odors. You're training on everything you can think of. And you run into issues along the way. Sometimes there's chemicals in everyday life that resemble explosive odors that aren't explosive odors. And so you've got to know how to prepare and train for that. So there's a lot of X factors involved.
Right.
But once the dog starts to pick up on it and learn the game, as we call it, it becomes an easier task, and it's so much easier to introduce new odors quicker to them.
38 different types of explosive? That's
Yes.
Hilo has to be able to distinguish between all of them?
Yes, and that's why we train every day. Every day we work, we try to train at least a couple hours, just so the dogs are always consistently getting each smell on a consistent basis. So they always stay fresh, and it's always right on their mind. So.
Now, you said Hilo started training when he was 9 months.
Correct.
And it took about a year to get him certified to do this.
Yes.
Now, how old is Hilo now?
Hilo's 4 years old now.
4 years old.
Yeah, so I've been working with him for about a little over 3 years.
And now, how will this work for him? Is there, like, policemen retire? Do police dogs retire?
Yes, police dogs do retire. And there's no certain age of retirement. It's when they can't do their job anymore. We don't wait till they're completely unhealthy. We just wait till they just kind of say, you know what, I've had enough and I just want to relax today. I don't feel like going to work. And when you start seeing that in your dog, it's just time to retire them. And sometimes they injure themselves and they have to retire. And of course, we're always given the option to take them in when they retire. So it's a good little life they live.
I mean, there's different types of sniffer dogs, right? There's drug sniffing dogs.
Right.
There's explosive sniffing dogs.
Right.
Like they specialize.
Person sniffing dogs.
Person sniffing dogs,
Yeah.
right? Now, in the case of bomb sniffing dogs, are accidents a common thing, or?
Not as far as in the job field. It's more the dogs that we use are high energy. These dogs are very, very specific in that they are tested vigorously before we get them to make sure that they have a drive high enough to always want to go to work.
Okay.
And when you have a high drive dog like that, they tend to do more. They leap higher, they jump farther, they run faster. And when you see that, you typically get a little bit more ankle injuries, and their paws get scraped up, or their dew claws get ripped off.
The general sort of wear and tear that a very active dog would take because they are an active dog.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we know that they spend a lot of their days training, a lot of their hours learning how to do these things. What are their lives like beyond that?
Beyond work. Well, work isn't work for a dog, first off. It's all play. After we leave what I call work and they call play, it's more play. It's always wanting to play, always wanting to do something. They're very active dogs. At the same time, it's a fine line. You got to balance between pet and tool, I guess you could say. Tools in law enforcement uses them as a tool.
Sure.
They are. But it's almost impossible to work a dog and not have a bond, so it becomes pet. So, they get a lot of creature comforts at home, but sometimes you've got to be careful not to spoil them too much because otherwise they don't want to go to work. They'd rather stay at home. So you've just got to keep them wanting to always go and do their job, but they're definitely, they get well treated at home. They're very well maintained. They get the best of the best when it comes to their housing, their food. They go all out to make sure that their health care is top notch. So.
Now, is it customary for canine officers to take their canine partners home?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that at least where I work, it is. And I know most agencies around the country, they are the same way. However, there are a few who do not let their handlers take their animals home. Just a preference of the department.
Sure.
I personally believe you get a better working animal when you can take it home, bond with it. They have bad days like we've got bad days. So when you know your animal in and out, you know when it's time to eat, you know when they have to go out, you know when they give you that look that they're just not feeling it that day. And when you're working in an explosive environment, that's your job anyway.
Right.
You need to make sure the dog's on point all day, every day. And the only way you can really, honestly, in my opinion, get that vibe from your animal is if you are his constant companion.
Yeah, so it's good as a working partnership because
Right.
then you guys sort of know each other's subtle cues.
Right.
And, right, makes perfect sense. So I guess the way that looks like Hilo's pretty good at what he does.
Yeah, he's pretty good. We've done a couple of major incidents in the D.C. area, and he's been pretty spot on in training. Never failed in an evaluation, so he's doing very well.
Awesome. Now is he young for a sniffer dog?
He's getting to be middle age for an explosive dog. 4 years old. They usually work between 8 to 10 years. That's usually about the time you see them start to decline, whether it's the hips, whether it's just they don't really want to actively sniff like they used to.
Right.
There's no enthusiasm anymore. About 8 to 10 years.
Now, I know it's usually larger breed dogs, and we always see in movies and television and everything, it's usually a German Shepherd. Now, Hilo is obviously a German Shepherd. Is it exclusive? Is that the only breed of dog that they really use for this sort of work?
No, not at all. Typically, you'll see Labradors, Golden Retrievers. Those are Malinois, which is a smaller Shepherd in looks and characteristics. And then I've even seen Cocker Spaniels and Pit Bulls used for explosive detection. So,
yeah, so it's not even specific to a breed. Pretty much almost any dog could do it.
if they got a high energy drive and they've got a nose that can sniff things out, we'll take it.
That's fantastic. Equal opportunity for sniffer dogs. So, Well, I guess that's really good. So I guess the last question becomes then, it looks like you and Hilo are going to be together for a long time, obviously.
I hope so.
And so is his retirement already planned?
Yes, it's already planned, ready to go. I'm ready to take him home and spoil him on my days off. Make sure he knows that his service is well appreciated.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us. Tell Hilo I said bye.
Sure will.
And just stay tuned, kids, because we'll have some more interesting stuff to show you. See ya.